Hey everybody, welcome back to the second installment of Popcorn Breakfast. This week we will be talking about Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre, starring Jason Statham and Aubrey Plaza. All right, so this weekend I went to see Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong. Even after watching the movie, I was curious about what the title means. I feel like I've heard the phrase before, but I couldn't quite place it. So I did some Google foo and I learned that a nom de guerre, which they do say in the film, they don't say what it means, but they do say it in the film. And I feel like that is actually the phrase I'd heard before. But what that is that's a fake name that you take for a specific task, usually war. I guess Pol Pot is a nom de guerre. Another more common example would be like if I was a derby girl, I'd be Killer Kim instead of just, regular old plain Kim. So I guess the de guerre part of nom de guerre means of war. So the title of the film is Operation Fortune Ruse of War. And it's a spy thriller, so of course there are a lot of ruses. So that's kind of basically what the movie is a bunch of ruses. I hate to be like super negative, but I feel like maybe the first ruse of the film is where they set it up as a comedy. They set it up like it's going to be kind of an odd couple buddy comedy, which you would normally see maybe in like buddy cop films, but this is spies instead. They set it up that way, but I mean, really, everybody plays it straight, so everybody stays on task. Everybody does what they're supposed to. Nobody's going rogue, so it's they set it up like it's going to be an odd couple thing, but really they get along just fine, and nobody's going off task. Before the main characters are in the film, the main character played by Jason Statham, they talk about him like he's some kind of a loose cannon, and does his job his own way, and he doesn't play by the book, but he does. When they enlist him for a job, he does the job the way that he's supposed to. They pair him up with a character played by Aubrey Plaza, and they set her up like she's going to be, I don't know, very silly and very jokey, whereas the main character is very serious. And, she makes a couple of jokes for sure. I mean, she's, a little funny, very dry, sarcastic, what we're used to seeing for Aubrey Plaza. But it's like the main character doesn't get her jokes, but she's not so quippy that she can't get the job done. I would say it's a couple of jokes. Honestly, it's just a couple of jokes. It seemed like it was maybe meant to be a running gag that, she was so smart, but you wouldn't expect it because she's super sarcastic. But in my personal experience, I feel like a lot of smart people have a sarcastic sense of humor. So I didn't really get it as a running gag unless the joke is that she's smart and sarcastic and a woman. But I checked a calendar and it is definitely 2023. So I don't feel like I get that as a joke either. I don't know. So, also, this is totally, I guess, off of what that is, but Jason Statham's character, and this could be just an issue that was happening in my theater, I don't know, but I really could not understand anything that he was saying. Just about everything he said sounded to me like rah, 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 rah. And he was really tasked with delivering a lot of the plot, and what their plans are, so it was really hard to follow the movie because I couldn't really understand what he was saying. And for all I know, maybe he was making all the jokes. So maybe that's why it didn't seem like a comedy to me. Like maybe I just couldn't hear any jokes. But like I said, that might have been an issue with my specific theater because I've watched a couple of other reviews about this movie and no one else mentioned having that difficulty. So maybe that was just a me specific thing. Well, my theater specific, because I will say I went to see the movie with my partner and he also said that he had a hard time understanding that character, and he made the same impression that I did unprompted, in explaining what the character sounded like. So it was a little tricky. And oddly, there was a character that was in the film briefly. He was fine to understand for me. I understood everything he was saying. He was speaking English. The movie is in English, so he was speaking the same language as everyone else in the movie, but for some reason they gave that character subtitles, and I don't feel like I understand what for. So I don't know. It was just kind of there were just some odd choices made in the film. So far as plot, I don't want to really give anything away. There's not a ton in terms of plot. I don't think there was really any sort of subtext that I could talk about like the way I did with Triangle of Sadness without giving away plot. It is someone stole something and these super spies are tasked with retrieving it despite not knowing what it is or who took it. So they have to solve those mysteries first. And then there's a second set of spies that are also elite, who are looking for the same thing. And why is that happening? So it's just a bunch of overlapping stories and they each have their own twists. I think the reaction that my partner and I both had to the reveals, for the twists were just like, okay, or okay, but why? Or okay, but like how? I don't know. It was an odd movie. I usually like an action movie. A spy thriller is always fun. Who doesn't love a spy thriller? But this seemed very by the numbers. Like it was kind of advertised like it was going to be, a little unique or a little funny or a little twisty, but it really, it was, what you would expect from the kind of movie. So it was, it was okay. I wish I had more positives. It was definitely watchable. Aubrey Plaza is the coolest, and I feel like I could watch her fry an egg and I would find it interesting. So, I mean, she really brings a lot in that regard. The sets are super, super nice. I'm actually looking to remodel a room, so I was really eyeballing the sets for ideas. And the costumes were really nice and very sharp and inspired me to go, hit the mall afterward to see if there's any, sharp thread updates that I could make for myself. So, I mean, it's watchable. There's just really no big surprises. I kind of struggle to decide who I would maybe recommend this movie to. It is an action movie, but it's not super exciting. It's a comedy. I mean, it says it's a comedy, and it's not super funny. As a matter of fact, there was a joke, there was such a pause between the setup and the punchline that I had already in my mind said the punchline to myself. And even still, there was another 3 or 4 seconds before the anticipated punchline was delivered. So that's kind of the level of like comedy. It's like the rest of it. You're not going to be real surprised. You're not going to see anything where you're like, oh, that kind of blew my mind. So it's, it just kind of is what it is. It's a spy thriller, but it's not super intense. I never really once felt real worried about our main characters. I didn't feel real vested in them, but even not being vested, I just didn't feel worried that they weren't going to pull off the job or that they were going to lose a battle, So, I mean, I think that it was maybe trying to subtly lampoon spy thrillers, and I don't feel like I watch a lot of spy thrillers. Of course, I've seen some who hasn't, but maybe if you're like a super fan of the genre, there might be jokes in there that I'm just not getting. Maybe the subtitle thing is a big hilarious joke. If you watch a lot of these kinds of movies, I don't know. So yeah, I would recommend it for streaming if you're committed to watching it. I think it'd be a good stream. I don't know if it's necessarily worth a trip to a theater unless you're a big fan of one of the stars or the genre or something. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say this week on this one. I'm sorry I don't have more. But this was my second popcorn breakfast, and hopefully next week I'll be able to see Scream. I'm pretty looking forward to that. Of course, that was a movie that, a franchise that started, back in my heyday. So I'm looking forward to that one, and that's about it for now. So have a great week. Bye.